Hello, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I am here to show you a flip through video first. The first part of this video is a flip through video of this little mini file folder journal that I made and decorated, and the second part of this video, should you choose to stay, it's pretty long, but I basically made this journal from cover to decoration to final finishing touches. I did on video. I'm working with new setup. The first time I did this video, somebody told me that I had the volume was too low, and it really was, and that was all my bad because, like I said, I am working with new equipment, a new camera and a new microphone, and so I'm doing a lot of new things, and there's some levels I guess I didn't check that I should have checked. So this journal is of course made out of file folder, and it measures about 5.5 by about 5.5. Might be a little bit smaller. Actually no, it measures, because the pages are 5. The pages are 5 by 10, so the book must be about 5.5. By 10.5. And I used my Kitten Memoirs journal kit for my shop. If you're interested, I cut out everything with my scan and cut. It has pretty much been indispensable for me. And if you're interested in this journal, it is going to be up for sale in my Etsy shop soon, so look out for that. And let me know if you like this style of video. I didn't want to make two separate videos, so I hope this works for you. If you like this kind of video where you have the option of watching the whole thing or just watching the flip through in the beginning, and let me know so I can make more videos like this. It is quite the effort to make these journal long videos with me, especially since I did the whole entire process. It is sped up, so that way you don't have to sit through the actual like 5 hours that it took me to do this. But I did do this in the span of 2 days. The first day it was pretty late. So the first night I should say, is I basically made the journal cover and sewed the journal signatures inside, just so the next day all I did was decorate. So it was a pretty good process. Like I said, it was about 5-6 hours long, and I managed to cut it down to about I think it was like 30 minutes. No, yeah, 30 minutes. So it was fun. Hopefully when the weather cools down, I can do the videos live, so I can, that way I don't have my AC on. The heaters are quiet, so I've got all my equipment ready to do that. And if you guys want, let me know down below if you want me to make a video on my new setup, because like I said, I have a new camera and I have a new microphone, and if you want to know how I make my videos, I can make a video about that. Go. And I had a lot of fun sewing on all the lace and making all the little embellishments for this journal. Adorable. And of course the die cuts are still available in my shop in the form of mystery boxes. So you get some vintage flower die cuts and some vintage white and craft colored die cuts of vintage items, and they're indispensable in my journal making pretty much. And I also used a lot of my printable ephemera packs, some of the fruit label downloadables, but overall this was a lot of fun, and I do thank you guys so much for joining me today on this video. If you just want to get through the flip through, I totally get it. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for the flip through. I'll catch you guys next time, and if you do want to watch the process video, it is coming right up. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to prepare the file folder cover. And these are just regular file folders from the dollar store. And what I did is I scored it at 6 inches with the bigger tab up to the edge. And then I was finding it difficult to find how to measure the other side because the tab's not the same size, so it doesn't sit at the same place. So I just decided to align it the way I did the other side and then just hold it up against the edge so that way at the top it's at the same place. And I do like to use my Bayer as a boning, a folding knife. Is that what it's called? A scoring device, I'll say. And so right here, I'm gonna fix up the spine because I don't think it's as straight as it should be. So I'm using my ruler to make it straighter. And that way it's not as bunched up and the line is more defined. And then I'm gonna measure about 1 inch from each side of the spine here, and I cut that out so that way it's not all bunched up there in the middle because it's a lot of folds and it gets a little thick. And that is the preparing of the folder. So now I'm going to go ahead and prepare the signatures, and I just got this new cutter. It's called the Fiskars Precision paper trimmer. It's like a very heavy duty paper trimmer. And here you see me slice about 9 pages, fold it in half, so it's about 18 pages. And it just cut through it like butter. So I really recommend this cutter. And I do have an affiliate link with Amazon now. So if you want to purchase it, you can buy it through my link down in the description below and help me out a little bit. I'm going to make a review video on this cutter by itself. So do look forward to that into the future. I posted about this in Junk Journal Junkies chat group on Facebook, and everybody was crazy. I didn't know this was everybody's secret weapon. But I'm glad I found out. So now I'm just folding everything. And actually these papers I had left over from my last project. So they were already folded. I didn't even need to do that. I just cut them down to size and just made sure that, you know, they went with the theming and everything. And part of the journal kit that I used for this project was the Kitten Memoirs journal kit for my shop. So, and I used the notebook sizes. Actually, the travel notebook size was perfect for this. I did end up cutting a nice about 2-3 inches from the top, but on some of those, I just used them to make pockets. So that worked out pretty well. I like that idea. I've seen other people do it, and they're really cool. So after this, I don't know why I used that spatula thing in the middle. I thought it would work, but I found something even better. So just disregard that weird spatula thing. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sew the lace to the pages. And all I'm going to be doing is using the 17 stitch on this number 4 tension on my brother's special project runway edition sewing machine. And I actually ended up using something different than what I showed on camera. I ended up using the number 17 on 2 point length and the default width. And it's more of a decorative stitch. I usually use my number 4 zigzag, but for this project I thought it might be a little bit more cute, a little bit more of a decorative detail without adding bulk. So I did go for a little fancier of a stitch, and I just found that it just worked really well. I don't glue my lace down to the pages, so I pretty much just hold the lace up to the page as I sew. But you can glue down the lace first, just so you make sure that it stays. However, you have to make sure that you give your pages at least a day or two to dry, because you don't want to put fresh glue under your sewing machine. I hear that you're gonna gunk up something. So I just do it like this, and I've just gotten used to it. And it works, and if it's a little crooked, I mean, that's fine, I'll live. It's a junk journal. So here I am going through the pages and deciding which ones are going to get the lace treatment. On this particular journal, I decided to go with the lace on every other page just because I really wanted it to be nice and fluffy and, you know, nice and decorated without it adding too much bulk. So I did end up putting a lot of lace, but I just used the scraps. I used a bunch of scraps because it's just 5-inch paper, so it was okay just to use a bunch of mismatched scraps. I tried to focus on using mostly white, some beige, pink, and blue colored lace so that I went with the theming of the journal kit. I don't have any purple lace, or I guess I might have. I just didn't look for it. I just wanted pink and white. And so, yeah, this took quite a while to do, actually. Quite a while to sew the lace on, but it was fun. This whole process is always a labor of love. Oh, and here I am sewing the pockets onto some of the pages. Like I said, I've never done that before, but I've seen other people do it. So I tried it, and I liked it. Overall, this part went pretty smooth. The sewing machine is pretty good, pretty easy, pretty user-friendly, I would say. I did have an earlier version of it, and I don't know what I did. I don't know if it was me. I don't know if it was the actual machine itself, but it broke down on me, and I was forced to get a new one because Walmart didn't want to do anything about it with the warranty. They said I had to call brother. It was just this whole ordeal. But overall, I would say that I do recommend this sewing machine. I will probably upgrade to something more expensive and flashy, I don't know, in the next year or so. But for now, this $125, $130 sewing machine is perfect for me as a beginner. So now I'm going to go ahead and sew the file folder. And that's just to make the pockets. And this last time that I made this file folder, I actually didn't sew in that middle triangle because I didn't actually cut that out until after I'd sewed the file folder and put it all together. I decided, oh, that doesn't look good. So on this time going around, I did cut that out. So I'm going to go ahead and sew around the edges with just a zigzag stitch. It's kind of spread apart a little bit so it doesn't mess up the actual paper that the file folder is made out of. So I do that, and then I actually sew down the sides so that way it makes the pockets. Because right now it's just an open folder, kind of. I don't know if anybody has done this style before. I haven't watched anybody else's file folder videos on how to. I just folded it. I'm sure other people have done it. It's nothing revolutionary. But it was fun. It was fun to do. I call it a mini folder, but a mini journal, but it's really not. It's the same number of pages in the signature. So now here's the part where we go in to sew in the actual signature. And what I actually started doing was using a piece of chipboard. And I'm wrapping everything around the piece of chipboard. And I found that doing this actually helps me get the signature exactly into the spine, so everything aligns rather than doing it by hand. The last time I did it, this was much easier and much quicker. So I do suggest, I'm probably going to do this in the future because it was a lot easier to get it aligned this time. But it is always a challenge to get the signature aligned with where you meant it to be. I don't know how other people do it, but this works for me for now. And of course I did draw a line in the middle of that yellow page in the middle because I want to be able to see where I sew when I put it into the sewing machine. And I actually used maybe about 25 pages in this single signature journal, and I probably would only suggest that you do about 15 tops. I don't know. I just get carried away always. I always get carried away with the number of pages in a signature. So the stitching on the spine wasn't as pretty and perfect as I would like it to be. So I will be covering that later on in this video. And now I'm actually going to do what I do for a lot of my journals, which is make a temporary cover, protective cover, because my journaling process is very messy and there's a lot of glue on my table. And between now and when it gets decorated, it could just be a really big mess all over the cover. And I usually do really simple covers, so they cannot be messy. It has to look really pretty. If the customer wants to mess it up, that's on them. But for me, I use these, just a really simple cover to ensure that everything stays clean and pretty while I decorate. So that's this. And now I'm going to go ahead and assemble the collages. And this whole decorating the journal part is one of the hardest parts of the journal making process, but it is the part I do enjoy the most. It's pretty much, you know, Photoshop in real person, where you layer things and then you sew them, or I really enjoy it. I really like making collages. My favorite part of this whole journal making process, but it is pretty labor intensive, and I always make collages and I'm like, oh yeah, that's all the collages I'm gonna need. And then halfway through the journal, it's like, oh no, I actually need twice as many of the collages that I made. Excuse me. But in general, I do try and just stick to the rules of design, such as repetition and contrast with color, contrast with size. You want to pick one thing that you want to be the main focal point, and then add accents that attract the eye to that focal point. Also, the rule of balance. So sometimes I will decorate something on one page in the top left, and then on the next page it'll be on the bottom right. There's just different rules of design to follow, and you really don't run out of ways to make these little collages if you know those rules. So I do suggest you read up on that if you do want to get better at your collaging, if you want to learn like why this color contrasts with this color and why you would use that in this scenario, because that's what you want to draw the attention of the viewer to. That's pretty much what I learned in design school, is you are, as a designer, the person that directs the person's eye around your piece of art. So if you want them to look at this one piece of information or decoration, then you better put all your focus over there so that their eye gets drawn to that corner. I'll probably do a video on one of these live when it starts to freshen up, and that way I don't have the ACs running. Okay, so after I get the collages together, I have to sew them together. And like I said, I don't glue anything down, so some things do shift, but nothing major to the point where I'm like, oh yeah, you know, I gotta do this differently. But I just, you know, hold it together, and then once you start sewing, they don't really move. Some of the items, you have to sew the item right in the middle, and some of the items you have to sew something first before you get it onto the actual collage. Like I said, glue might help, but you will have to wait until the glue is really dry to run it through your sewing machine. I wouldn't suggest it otherwise. And I'm just putting these collages together with just a simple zigzag stitch. Sorry. A zigzag stitch. And I do kind of spread apart the stitch a little bit. I make the length a little bit bigger so that way it looks kind of cute. But yeah, these collages are a lot of fun, and somebody asked me if I would sell them. They kind of take a long time to make, and I kind of only make as many as I need, but maybe in the future, we'll see. And here I actually found that the journal cards that came with the kit printed at its original size were too big for this journal. So I went ahead and reprinted them out and recut them out at 75% size. So they're a quarter smaller, and they fit perfectly, and they look so cute small. So here I am just sewing the edges of some of the ephemera that's going to go inside the junk journal. These aren't collages, but I do like the way that it looks. And here's my last little collage it hid from me. So now it comes the part where we actually get all these collages and all of our other ephemera pieces, and we actually adhere them to the journal pages. The glue I've been using lately is the Eileen's Tacky Glue. It works perfect. If you guys were to see the actual footage of me making these journals like in regular speed, about half of the 4-hour video is me just rubbing my fingers together to get glue off. After I get glue down on the embellishment, I will use my finger to kind of flatten out the glue so that way it doesn't seep out of the edge when I put it down on the paper. And that's probably about 50% of it what my time is spent on when I make these journals. So I had to cut out quite a lot of times where I was just sitting there rubbing my fingers together. But yeah, so the journal, decorating the journal, I tried to space out some pages where I just used the regular die cuts. Some of the pages I used collages that I made. Some of the pages I put something on a paper clip, like a note card on a paper clip. And that's pretty much how I spaced them out. If you are interested in the ephemera pieces, the florals and the vintage item die cuts, they are in my shop. You can either get them cut out for you already in the mystery boxes, or you can print them out and have a good old time cutting them out yourself. I did print these ephemera pieces out from the kit on cardstock, and I ran them through my scan and cut. My scan and cut is pretty much indispensable to me in my journal making process these days. If you want to see a review video, I did do one, I don't know, maybe a year or two ago now. It's probably time I make a new one, because I still love that machine, and I love it so much I got two. And I'm just really impatient. I had 5 pages of these ephemera pieces to cut out for this journal, and I used both of my machines. I don't know, I don't want to wait. But the machine is great. So this process takes a long time. I might find somewhere that I like to put down something, and then I'll go through the whole journal to make sure there's nowhere else I would like it even more. So that's pretty much why it takes a lot of time also. And I did end up going back to the sewing machine at different points, because I ended up needing to add more items that I didn't originally think I would, which happens all the time. So in between decorating here, I do go back to the sewing machine and put other things together, or sew the edges around something that I want to glue down. And here you can see that I use some botanical images from a book that I got from a thrift shop. I cut it out and I sewed around the edges, and I have a bunch of those images just ready to go and glued down. And what really helps is the way I have my items organized around me really helps my process. I have a lot of items from embellishments, and I have them in different bins. And if I were to just, have to go through the bins all the time, I'd probably get a little overwhelmed. So what I do is I have a Rascog cart from IKEA, and it's got 3 levels, and I use these special inserts for them, and that's where I pick through all of my bins, and I have this little selection of an example of everything that I have extra stock of. So I'll pick through that Rascog cart as I decorate, and it really helps cut down on, like I said, being overwhelmed by your massive amounts of supplies. Not that I have any, and not that you do either. This is art. You need those supplies. Necessary supplies. So I can also do a video on that in the future. I keep saying I'm gonna film my craft room, but it's always so messy. But I will probably do that video too, coming up soon. And as well as I can't wait to do live videos, like I said, so that way the AC is not on and I can just talk and we can have a 2-way conversation, and I don't have to sit here and fill 20 minutes video with narration. It's a lot more funner when it's a two-way street. Those Facebook Live videos are fun. So I'm going to be doing those soon too. I know everybody's been asking them all year long, and it's just, like I said, I love my trailer. It's just those ACs are really loud. So this part of the process is really long as well. Really long. It probably takes about 2-3 hours to decorate a whole journal after I've put the embellishments together. So it's just anybody who has ever made a journal, you know that is such a labor of love. You're spending so much time on this journal. And it's going to be up for sale in my Etsy shop. So if you are interested, after the video, you can head over there. If it is still up for sale, grab it. If you just want to make your own, like I said, I used a lot of printables for my shop. I like my journals to not look like I used a bunch of the same printables. But I have so many. It makes it really easy not to duplicate things. And so here we are moving along. This is the special insert from my Razzcog cart that I was talking about. I think it's called like Adonis or something. Sorry, I'm having some coffee. I know it's like 90 degrees in my room right now, and I'm having coffee. Okay, so now we're coming down to the last steps of decoration. I'm almost done here. And we're going to go ahead and move on and decorate the cover, which I normally don't ever do. But in this situation, I don't know. I just felt like it. It just felt right. I had the right pieces that made sense together, so I did it. But I forgot to film. I forgot to film those like 5 minutes that it took to put that together.
Oh, getting all the fresh air, this little boy. Look at him. He loves it.